Welcome back everyone. Today I will recap a 2022 Indonesian horror film named Qodrat. Before we start, it is a request to please like and comment on the video as it will help us to grow our reach. The movie begins by showing a house where Qodrat is trying to save his possessed son 𝐸𝐹 by performing an exorcism on him. But that demon is very powerful and it attacks and injures Qodrat. The demon then makes 𝐸𝐹 levitate in the air and swear that he will make him suffer for his guilt. He then throws him out of the room, and when Qodrat rushes back to 𝐸𝐹, he asks him for help before demon kills him by breaking and twisting his head. We then see him serving his sentence in prison and he gets remission, but he doesn't want to be released from this hell. He has nothing left out there as his wife and son were killed by a demon called 𝐸𝐹. Only then an officer comes there and puts a chain around Qodrat's neck and drags him away. He then hangs him, and we come to know that officer is possessed by the 𝐸𝐹. He tells him that the only way he can get out of here is inside a body bag. Now after some time, Qodrat starts suffocating and he is about to die, but only then do other officers come there and try to control the possessed officer. However, after suffering for some time, Qodrat dies. He then suddenly wakes up and finds himself in a desert. He hears prayers and starts wandering in the desert, and then sits at one place and starts reciting prayers. After some time, the strong wind starts blowing there and the sun shines bright, and suddenly when he wakes up, he finds himself in the middle of the dead bodies in a mortuary. Now finally he is released from jail, and when he is on the bus, he sees that a little girl is crying continuously. He gets the bus to stop and gets down, and we see that the girl was actually scared to see a spirit. After this, when he is passing through a village, he hears someone screaming from a house and many women are reciting some prayers. But Qodrat ignores it and leaves there. In that house, we see Tanti and her sister Yasmin. Tanti tells her that her daughter Jihan is getting worse, and only then do they hear Jihan screaming. They rush to her and Tanti tries to calm her down, but she pushes them away. She then suddenly calms down and starts crying. And just as Tanti thinks she is okay now, she starts looking at them in a very creepy way with a smile on her face. She pushes them back and hits her head on the wooden block, due to which her head gets injured and blood starts coming out. Now before those people could understand what to do, Jihan again bangs her head and kills herself. Meanwhile, Qodrat returns to the boarding school in the village where he studied and finds his old friend Jafar there. He asks him why is this village in this condition and where is Priest Racham. Jafar tells him that since he left, Priest Racham was fine at first until 𝐸𝐹's death 3 years ago. They all were convinced that was not an ordinary accident. Priest recited remembrances every night and did night prayers just for him and neglected his own health. Then one day for no reason he fell ill and the villagers started experiencing strange things. Jafar asks him that he has saved so many lives with his gift by doing their exorcism, then what sin did he commit that he could not save his son? We then see Yasmin with her son 𝐸𝐹, who asks her to play with her. But she tells him to go to bed after he finishes his dinner. He gets upset and says he is going to play with his dad and leaves there. Now after some time, Yasmin gets shocked to hear 𝐸𝐹 talking to his father in his room because it has been many years since his father died. She goes to his room and asks him what he is doing, to which he says that he is playing with his dad. Only then her daughter 𝐸𝐿 returns home and she leaves there. She informs 𝐸𝐿 about Jihan's death and that she went there for prayers, to which 𝐸𝐿 says Jihan needed a doctor and not some spells. 𝐸𝐿𝐹 asks them what is spell, to which 𝐸𝐿 goes to him and asks him to go to bed as she still wants to talk to mom. Yasmin then tells her that 𝐸𝐿𝐹 started talking to wardrobe and said he was playing with dad. Here 𝐸𝐿𝐹 hears someone calling his name from inside the wardrobe and his wheelchair itself starts moving towards it. Yasmin and 𝐸𝐿 are having an argument outside when suddenly they hear 𝐸𝐿𝐹 screams and find him lying unconscious near the wardrobe. They both lay him down on the bed and Yasmin notices that he has a fever. Now the next day Yasmin and 𝐸𝐿 apologize to each other for last night, and as 𝐸𝐿 leaves for school, 𝐸𝐿𝐹 suddenly sits up and asks where is his wardrobe. Yasmin says she has kept it in the store and tries to feed him, but he throws the food. Now that night when Qodrat is reciting prayers, a gust of wind blows, causing a photo frame to fall and break. Meanwhile, Yasmin comes to 𝐸𝐿's room and asks her where is 𝐸𝐿𝐹. They both start looking for him and Yasmin goes to the store, where she hears him talking to someone. She asks him what he is doing here, to which he says dad said as long as he obeys him, he can walk again. She tells him dad is dead and he turns towards her saying don't talk trash about dad. He then attacks her and his voice has completely changed. He growls like an animal and tries to kill her with gardening scissors and injures her. Yasmin somehow frees herself and locks him in the store, and when 𝐸𝐿 asks her why she is doing this, she tells her not to let him out. She rushes to the boarding school to get help and says she needs to see Ustad Jafar now. Qodrat tries to calm her down and says Jafar is out and he doesn't know where. She tells him that her son is possessed and begs him to exorcise him, but he asks her to come back when Jafar returns. However, when he learns that her son's name is 𝐸𝐿𝐹, he agrees to it. Meanwhile, the demon tricks 𝐸𝐿 into breaking the lock and asks her to come inside the wardrobe if she loves him. She asks him to come out, but he says he doesn't want to, as he wants to play with Dad. Then suddenly he attacks her and drags her inside, and she reaches into another dimension. There she sees her family, who is preparing for her birthday, and her dad wishes her. She gets emotional seeing him and hugs him, and then they celebrate her birthday. He then asks her to cut the cake, but in reality, she cuts her wrist and tells him that suddenly her hand hurt. The demon says everything is fine and asks her to try again slowly, and makes her cut her hand again. Only then do Qodrat and Yasmin reach there and hear her scream, and here 𝐂𝐂 finds that her mom and 𝐸𝐹 are gone. They then find unconscious 𝐂𝐂 with possessed 𝐸𝐹 inside the wardrobe, and as Qodrat reads the prayers, 𝐸𝐹 faints. They then get 𝐂𝐂 out of the wardrobe, and Qodrat asks the demon who he is. 𝐸𝐹 crawls out of the wardrobe and gets up on his legs, and says Qodrat is a hypocrite. He calls God's name but has no faith in him. He then tries to attack Qodrat, but he overpowers him and begins reading prayers, and asks his name, which the demon reveals as 𝐂𝐃𝐏. He then again tries to attack him, and when Qodrat tries to expel him, the demon begins to laugh, and before leaving his body, he tells him to wait until the stronger will come to destroy humans. Now when Qodrat is going back, demon appears in front of him in the form of a black dog, and he understands that it is a swallow. Suddenly it haunts him in the form of his son, which causes him to fall down the mountain. On the other hand, Yasmin and 𝐂𝐂 see that the demon has again possessed 𝐸𝐹, and they lock him in his room. Just then Jafar comes there and says that he has come to take 𝐸𝐹, but suddenly Qodrat reaches there and stops them, and tries to explain to Jafar that he has to exorcise and save 𝐸𝐹, and the demon they are dealing with is a swallow. He killed his son and tried to kill him too in the prison, and now he is here in the village. Jafar says that is why he doesn't need his help in this, and asks him if he is helping in the name of God or for his revenge. The next day, Tanti's husband reveals that Jafar and his people are using religion for greed, and the village has become a dreadful place because of them. He starts beating Qodrat, thinking of him to be Jafar's man, but only then Tanti screams and they see that she has committed suicide. Later, we see that 𝐸𝐹 has recovered and they return him to Yasmin and 𝐂𝐂. Meanwhile, Qodrat asks Jafar what did he get from Yasmin's family. Jafar says farms and money were gifts from the villagers. Qodrat asks does he only helps those who can pay, to which he says he is doing this for the betterment of their village and a new mosque. Qodrat says all of this is useless if the people around here are living in misery because of him. He tells him not to touch Yasmin's land and plantations and never again asks for payment for exorcism as it's their duty. However, Jafar asks Kobar to pack Qodrat's things as he is too holy to stay here. Later that night, Yasmin gives 𝐸𝐹 water saying Jafar said a prayer over this for him to drink. As he drinks the water, the lights go off and 𝐸𝐹 gets scared. Yasmin goes to the store to turn on the generator but finds it's out of fuel. When she starts refilling it, her lamp gets extinguished and she hears some sound from the wardrobe. Yasmin gets terrified and tries to light the lamp, and during this, we see a swallow demon behind her who suddenly attacks her and get inside her. Now when Yasmin does not return for a long time, 𝐂𝐂 goes out to check, where her mom asks her to go and find Jafar, and after she leaves, we see a possessed Yasmin coming out from the dark. Meanwhile, when Qodrat meets Rachin before leaving, he tries to tell him something, but Kobar tells him he should go now. Qodrat then beats Jafar's men, and when he goes to meet him, he hears him worshipping Shaitan for powers to rule the world. He finds him in his secret place and tries to fight him to stop him, but Jafar overpowers him and knocks him down. He then asks him to drink the blood and join him in worshipping a swallow, but when he denies it, Jafar says he will force him to worship the demon. Qodrat says he worships only God and tries to fight him again, and this time he manages to knock him down. Only then 𝐂𝐂 reaches there and gets shocked by the scene there. Here Yasmin is burying 𝐸𝐹 alive, and after some time Qodrat and 𝐂𝐂 also reach there. Qodrat asks her where is 𝐸𝐹, to which the demon says every time he failed to kill him and overthrow his faith. But not today. He again asks him where is 𝐸𝐹, to which he asks which 𝐸𝐹, the one whose neck he broke, or the 𝐸𝐹 he just buried alive. Now as Qodrat gets ready to fight him, the demon jumps on him to attack him, but Qodrat dodges him. He then begins the exorcism to expel the demon from Yasmin, and during this, 𝐂𝐂 tries to get 𝐸𝐹 out of the ground. However, that demon is so powerful that even prayers were not having any effect on him, and he makes Qodrat weak. He then clings on Qodrat's back and injures him badly, and tells him that he will kill all religious men so no one will pray. But Qodrat puts his hand on her forehead and starts reciting the prayers, and says he won't let him mock God's verses. The demon grabs all his strength and makes him levitate in the air and clings to him, but Qodrat continues to pray, and after a while, they both fall to the ground. Yasmin comes back to her senses and asks 𝐂𝐂 about 𝐸𝐹, but she starts crying. Now when Qodrat digs up the ground to get 𝐸𝐹 out, he gets shocked to see his son there. 𝐸𝐹 says he knew he would come to find him. He asks him to come with him and they will find his mother there and they will be together again. Qodrat remembers the day his son died and gets emotional and hugs him. He says he loves him and always misses him, and then Yasmin, a shout, and he begins reading prayers. Aleph pushes him back, but Qodrat continues to pray, which enrages the demon, and he says that if he can't destroy him, he will make him lose everything. Qodrat then exorcises him and expels the demon from Aleph's body. 6 months later, the village is now lively again, and Racham has also recovered from his illness. Qodrat then asks his permission to leave, saying the time has come for him to find out what happened to his wife Aziza. Racham gifts him his old bike for his journey, and he thanks him before leaving there. He is then stopped by Aleph on the way, who gets up from his wheelchair and Qodrat smiles at him. He then continues his journey, and the movie ends here stating that Qodrat will return. Please like and subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon never to miss new video updates. Thanks for watching.